In this video, we'll be taking a look at 4 NBA games happening on December 18, 2025, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games, so 8 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 4 NBA games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start, if you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. New York Knicks versus Indiana Pacers. The New York Knicks head into Gainbridge Fieldhouse on Thursday night to face the Indiana Pacers, and it has a slightly messy feel already. For New York, Josh Hart, OG Anunoby, Mitchell Robinson, and Karl Anthony Towns are all sitting in that annoying questionable bucket, so the rotation could shift a lot by tip-off. On the other side, Indiana has already ruled out Ben Shepherd, Aaron Nesmith, and Tyrese Halliburton again, so they know what they have, even if what they have is limited. Honestly, the Knicks have been playing like the most informed team in the East, but there is this heavy injury cloud hanging over them that you just cannot ignore. You get the sense that they are pushing through, which is impressive, but it also makes every game feel a bit fragile. The Pacers, meanwhile, are still trying to figure themselves out, and they just got hammered by the struggling Wizards, which is not exactly a glowing reference. That kind of loss hangs around the locker room for a bit, even if everyone pretends it does not. Let me explain why this matchup feels so tricky. The intangible edge tilts toward Indiana because of extra rest and the comfort of playing at home, and that always matters a little more than people admit. At the same time, the Knicks clearly do more things at a higher level. They rebound better, they are more disciplined with their shot selection, and they usually manage the late-game situations with more poise. Indiana sits at the very bottom of the league in field goal percentage, and that is a brutal place to be when you are facing a defense that sits in the top tier at limiting opponent field goal percentage. New York's defense can make an already shaky offense look even more uncomfortable, especially when the crowd gets tense instead of loud. Recent form leans the same way. Indiana is 1-3 straight up and against the spread in its last 4 home games, which suggests that home court has not been the safety net you would hope for. The Knicks, by contrast, have stacked 6 straight wins and have covered in all 6, so they are delivering both for the standings and the bettors. On the season, they sit at 18-8 against the spread, which is the kind of record that usually reflects a team that odds makers are still slightly underrating. Here is the thing, the line is still short enough that taking New York on the road does not feel reckless. Even with the injury questions, their edges on the glass, on defense, and in shot quality are hard to ignore, and revenge is a small but real motivator in a spot like this. As our first pick for this matchup, the New York Knicks to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. The Pacers sit in the middle of the pack at 14th in pace, so they are not exactly racing up and down every possession, but their recent shooting slump has been loud. That combination, a decent tempo with poor accuracy, has helped them land under the number in 4 straight games and in 7 of their last 9. Missed shots do not just kill scoring, they also kill rhythm, and this offense has felt out of rhythm more often than not. New York, on the other hand, plays slow by design. They are 28th in pace, they like to feed Towns on the block, and they are just as methodical under Mike Brown as they were under Mike Thibodeau. That kind of approach shortens games, limits possessions, and turns every trip into something closer to a half-court chess match than a track meet. It is not always pretty, but it is very friendly to lower totals. Their recent numbers fit that story, too. The Knicks have gone under in 7 of their last 10 games, with the NBA Cup final set aside. When one team is slogging through shooting woes and the other is perfectly happy to slow things down, it becomes much easier to imagine a tighter, lower-scoring result rather than a fireworks show. In a spot like this, it makes sense to expect more grinding than gliding, more contested looks than clean ones, and a final score that lands below the projected number. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Atlanta Hawks versus Charlotte Hornets. The Atlanta Hawks head into the Spectrum Center on Thursday to take on the Charlotte Hornets, and it has that classic Eastern Conference careful what you trust feel to it. On the Hawks side, they are still without Kristaps Porzingis, and Trae Young sits in that frustrating questionable category that makes everyone stare at the injury report more than the matchup. For Charlotte, Colin Sexton and Trey Mann are out, while LaMelo Ball is also listed as questionable, so both teams are juggling key backcourt pieces before this one even tips. It is not shocking at all that the Hawks opened as road favorites, especially with the hint that Young might be back in the mix. Here is the thing, this is exactly the kind of spot Atlanta has to take seriously if they want to stay relevant in the Eastern Conference playoff picture. They already lean on games like this to keep themselves afloat. 10 of their 15 wins have come away from home, which quietly tells you they are pretty comfortable in unfamiliar gyms, and they have already beaten the Hornets 5 straight times. That run includes a 3-point win against Charlotte about 3 weeks ago, so there is nothing imaginary about the matchup edge. It is recent and real. Honestly, even if LaMelo suits up, it is hard to build much confidence in the Hornets on a night-to-night basis. Their performances swing a lot, and not usually in a good way. The Hawks might not be perfect, but if Young returns, it gives them another layer of control late in the game, especially in close possessions. Even if he does not, their recent success against this opponent and their comfort on the road make laying a short number a reasonable position. You still want to check the injury update before you fire, but from a side perspective, I am comfortable backing Atlanta to be the more reliable group. As our first pick for this matchup, the Atlanta Hawks to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. The Atlanta Hawks are averaging 118 points per game on 48.2% shooting from the field, while they are giving up 117.4 points on 46.9% shooting. From deep, the Hawks are hitting 37.2% of their three-pointers and 78.8% from the free throw line. Defensively on the perimeter, they allow opponents to shoot 35.2% from three, and they are grabbing 42.1 rebounds per game. The Charlotte Hornets are putting up 114.9 points per game on 45.5% shooting and allowing 118.4 points on 49% shooting. From beyond the arc, the Hornets are connecting on 34.7% of their threes and knocking down 82.2% of their free throws. On the defensive side of the three-point line, they are allowing 38.8% shooting from deep and pulling in 44.5 rebounds per game. When you look at that blend, you get a matchup where both offenses can score, but there are some clear pressure points that can slow things down. If one or both of the questionable stars sit, shot creation takes a hit and those efficiency numbers become harder to reach. Even if they play, there is a decent chance the scoring comes in waves rather than a constant track meet, with missed shots and defensive lapses balancing each other out. That kind of environment can easily lead to a final tally that feels a bit lighter on points than the raw season averages suggest, especially if the game tilts toward half-court possessions late rather than pure run and gun. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Miami Heat versus Brooklyn Nets. The Miami Heat head to Barclays Center on Thursday night to face the Brooklyn Nets, and it feels like one of those spots where the name on the jersey says one thing, but the current form says something else entirely. Miami is still without Tyler Herro, Pelle Larsson, and Nikola Jovic, and Norman Powell is sitting on the questionable list, which is not ideal when you already feel short on scoring. Brooklyn is missing Cam Thomas and Haywood Highsmith, but the vibe around them is very different right now. The Heat badly need a win to steady their season, yet they are stripped of so much shot creation that it almost feels like wishful thinking to expect their offense to suddenly snap back. If Powell cannot go, that is even more pressure on an already thin group of scorers. On the other side, the Nets come in with a bit of swagger after a 45-point blowout win over the Bucks. That kind of result does not fix everything, but it does fill up the confidence tank, especially for a team that had been searching for something to hang its hat on. And that is where the contrast really shows. Let me explain. The Heat should be the better team in theory, and early in the season they played like it, racing up and down and lighting up the scoreboard. Lately, though, they have drifted back toward the version that struggled last year, grinding through possessions and, more worrying, coming up empty far too often. They suddenly cannot score the ball with any consistency. As favorites, they have failed to cover 6 of their last 7, and 4 of those failures were not even close because they lost outright. That is not the profile of a team you feel great laying points with, especially on the road and especially when the backcourt could be patched together. Brooklyn, quietly, is starting to stack some wins, and that matters. It is not that the Nets are some flawless machine now. It is more that they look like a group moving in the right direction while the Heat look like a group trying to remember who they were a month or 2 ago. With Miami banged up and unreliable in the favorite role, it is hard to justify trusting them against a home team that actually feels more settled at the moment. As our first pick for this matchup, the Brooklyn Nets to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. The under has cashed in 8 of Brooklyn's last 10 games, and Miami has seen the under hit in 7 of its last 10, including 5 straight. When these two have met recently, the same pattern shows up, with the under going 7-3 in the last 10 head-to-head matchups. That is a lot of games pointing in the same direction. Here is the thing, the stylistic matchup backs that up. Miami currently sits at the top of the league in pace, but Brooklyn plays at the 4th slowest tempo. When you have that kind of clash, the home team usually tries to drag the game into the tempo it prefers, and in this case that means slowing it down, squeezing possessions, and making Miami work in the half court. That is exactly what you would expect Brooklyn to do, especially if they respect the idea that a faster game might actually help the visitors. On top of that, the Heat's recent scoring numbers are rough. Over their last 5 games, they are averaging just 105.6 points, which is not what you would expect from a team that was once labeled a pace and scoring machine. Brooklyn has held its last 6 opponents to 105.1 points per game, so their defense has at least been sturdy enough to keep things in check. Combine a slower expected tempo with a Miami team that has forgotten how to score for stretches, plus a Nets defense that has been quietly solid, and you can see why a lower scoring outcome feels more realistic than a shootout. Even if a run or two breaks out, the overall shape still leans toward a game that finishes under the projected number. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Washington Wizards vs. San Antonio Spurs. The Washington Wizards roll into Frost Bank Center on Thursday night to face the San Antonio Spurs, and on the surface it looks pretty straightforward, but it is a little messier once you peel it back a bit. Washington is listed as still missing Corey Kispert, Malachi Branham, and Chris Middleton, which leaves them lighter on shooting and secondary creation. San Antonio, by contrast, is described as having a full squad, with Wembanyama still on a minutes restriction, so they at least know what their rotation looks like. The Wizards have spent most of the season ice cold, but they did flash some life in that big win over the Pacers in their last outing, the kind of result that makes you wonder if they might finally be waking up a bit. Here is the catch, they have to play near their ceiling to hang with a Spurs team that had been rolling before falling short in the NBA Cup final against the Knicks. The number on this game is hefty, and that is not by accident. The Wizards are only 2-11 on the road, while the Spurs sit at 9-2 at home and as healthy as they have been all season. That road and home split alone already nudges you mentally toward the favorite, especially when you picture a young San Antonio group feeding off a friendly crowd. Recent form points in the same direction, even if it is not dramatic. The Spurs have taken 3 of their last 4, while the Wizards have dropped 3 of their last 4. On top of that, San Antonio's offense is humming in this description, putting up more than 119 points per night while hitting half of its shots and knocking down better than 79% of its free throws. When you mix that kind of efficiency with strong work on the glass, like grabbing 14 offensive rebounds per game over the last 3 contests, you get a team that keeps giving itself second and third chances. The Spurs are also said to take care of the ball, which matters a lot when you are a big favorite. If you are not gifting easy transition points, you make an already struggling opponent work in the half court, and that is where Washington's problems show up. The Wizards are described as a poor defensive team, allowing more than 120 points per game on the road, so asking them to suddenly bottle up this offense for 48 minutes feels like a stretch. The big number is a little scary, but when you stack the home dominance, offensive efficiency, rebounding edge, and the Wizards' road defense side by side, it starts to look a lot more justified than it feels at first glance. As our first pick for this matchup, the San Antonio Spurs to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. The Wizards come in averaging 112.8 points per game, playing at the 6th fastest pace in the league with 105.5 possessions per game. They are facing a defense that is giving up 115.5 points per game. That combination, fast tempo plus a defense that concedes, usually points toward plenty of scoring chances, even if one side is less efficient than the other. Washington may not always turn pace into clean execution, but the volume of possessions helps. On the other side, the Spurs are averaging 119.7 points per game. Their pace is more moderate, ranked 19th, with 103.8 possessions per game, but they are matched up against a team allowing 126.7 points per game. That kind of defensive number is loud. It tells you that even when the game does not feel like it is flying, the scoreboard can still move quickly because the stops just are not coming frequently enough. Put those pieces together and it is easy to imagine both offenses finding plenty of scoring windows. One team likes to play fast, the other scores well against soft defenses, and both are facing opponents that give up well over 115 points per contest. Even if Wembanyama's minutes restriction trims a little upside from San Antonio's side, the overall environment still leans toward steady scoring rather than a grind. With the Wizards pushing tempo and the Spurs taking advantage of every defensive lapse they see, the ingredients are there for this matchup to climb past the projected total rather than stall out below it. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed, subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.